Okay, welcome to our first week of Launch to Elite, which is our training for getting started with doTERRA. So my name is Sarah Geisinger, if I don't know you, and I'm from Lancaster. We've got a whole crew of people from all over the place, from northern Pennsylvania and Lancaster and Philadelphia area and the Czech Republic. And actually, in this little group that is going through this together, there are 11 people that are going to be moving through all of this content together at the same time, which is really exciting. So I'm super pumped about that. So I want to tell you just a little bit about myself, a little bit about my intention going forward for the next couple of weeks with these trainings, and then talk through just some basic things. And then at the end, I'll give you like a couple challenges / assignments with the goal of two things. One, giving you just a sense of what it looks like to do doTERRA, and also like how to do it. Because when I got started, I couldn't always figure out like what I needed to actually do to move forward with what I wanted to do with doTERRA. And so that is my heart, is to give you some practical stuff and also some like mindset stuff, because as we'll talk about, doing something like this, if you have never done anything like this before, then you are going to find that this is going to push against every single thing that you have ever, I don't know, like if you are a nervous person, you'll find that you get extra nervous. Or if you're someone who struggles with what other people think about you, you'll find you really struggle with what other people think about you. It's like all the things that maybe have bubbled underneath the surface. doTERRA has a way of, in a good way, bringing those things to the surface so you can work through them. And so I really, really like that. It's often been said that doing doTERRA is like a personal growth plan with a compensation plan attached, which is handy because, you know, if you're going to do the hard work of like working on some of your issues and challenges, it's really nice to get a paycheck for it. So that's lovely. Anyway, but a little bit about me. So like I said, I'm from Lancaster. I have 4 kids, 10, 6, 4, and a baby, a 1-year-old. And so I used to be a high school teacher. I taught for 13 years and then resigned my position about a year ago, and am doing doTERRA and taking care of my kids, and that's how I spend my time. And so I am currently a gold in doTERRA, and so we'll talk a little bit about the ranks and and all of that. But that's where I'm at right now, and I've been doing doTERRA for about 3 years. Actually almost 3 years. I think I got my kit at the end of March, so just about 3 years to the day. So that is, hi guys. Anyway, so that's kind of my story with all of doTERRA. And so I am going to share my screen here. There we go. Speaker view. I don't know why Jess is the biggest person. Is that what you see? Are you the biggest person? Hi. No? Am I the biggest person? Okay. Weird. Anyway, I hope it's recording that way. It's fine. Okay, so my intention in this whole thing is to give you a process, to kind of give you a framework to be able to get to elite. And so doTERRA, it works by different ranks. And so there are certain ranks that kind of are markers as to how you're proceeding through, basically through the compensation plan. And so there's certain markers for that. And the very first goal is to get you to elite, because that is the marker at which you are making enough money in commissions to pay for the products that you're using. And so that's a really good place to start. And so for some of you, that's your whole goal. Like you just want to be covering the cost of the expense of, taking the Lifelong Vitality and having your spouse take the Lifelong Vitality and using the oils with your kids, whatever that, and that's great. There are lots and lots and lots of people in the doTERRA world who that's what they do. They help enough people to set up their wholesale accounts so it just covers the cost of the doTERRA products that you're using. And so that's what our focus is to help you get to elite. And the reason that the focus is to help you get to elite is, first of all, it's the first step. It's also the hardest rank. I think it's absolutely the hardest rank, not because mostly because it's you having to learn a new skill set, a new thing to do. You've maybe never done something like this before. And so you have to learn something new, and it's hard. And so it's not that the work itself is hard. We always say that this work is simple, but it's not easy. And the reason it's not easy is it's because of us and the things that we maybe bring to it and get tripped up on. And so I would like to give you a framework to move through. So just a little bit of my personal background. When I started, my direct upline, so the person that helped me set up an account, is dabbling in the business at this point, and was when I got started. And so she didn't necessarily have a good way of helping me. I knew nothing. I had no help. I had a mentor that helped me a little bit for a couple months, and then I just had to figure everything out on my own, which was fine. In a lot of ways, that was like a hidden blessing, because that meant I had to figure everything out on my own. But on the flip side, it was really challenging sometimes trying to find the resources I needed to be successful, how to figure out what I was actually supposed to do, and what I was supposed to say, and how to work the computer systems, and how to record a video. All of these things I pretty much learned by Googling things, and finding resources that were available from our larger doTERRA team and the larger doTERRA world. And so, as my mom and I were talking, we want to be able to provide you with a better way, with actual, like, tangible, okay, here's the next piece. And then you want to do the next piece, and then work on the next piece, because then that gives you a good direction and path, because that's something that we didn't have. And so that is the whole intention behind this, to give you the thing that we didn't have when we got started. So that's where we're heading. I want to spend just the first few minutes here talking about why doTERRA. And so I had sent you some links late last night, and so you probably maybe didn't see them until this morning. But in those links, there's it's called 30 Days of Mentoring. It's on SoundCloud. And one of the very first things in there, it's like a series of short little things to listen to kind of help you to start to learn more about doTERRA, learn more about the vision, learn more about this business, and all of these things. But the very first one is called Why doTERRA. And so I'm going to share my screen here, I think. Wait, hold on. Share. Okay, let me find this. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is why doTERRA, why partner with doTERRA to begin with. And so let's see. Everyone here has been using oils for like a good while, for at least a couple months. And so everyone's had positive experiences with the oils. And so there's definitely probably from you a belief in the oils and what they can do. And so if you've been around for a bit of time, that is the first piece, is getting those oil experiences so that you start to believe in what the product is. And so that, for me personally, is the thing that I love most about doTERRA, is that we have this amazing product that we can put in someone's hands and we know they're going to have a positive experience. It's been said that the product sells itself, and it truly does. There is tremendous results that people have, and it's really just our job to put it in their hands. And so I love that. But here's some of the things. And so this is in the build guide, which is one of the things that I asked you guys to either download and print or buy. And if you have it, great. It's the one, it has a green cover. Well, I'm not going to, oh, here, I can scroll and show you the cover. And so it has a green cover with I think that's a bergamot on the front. Anyway, but this whole thing just kind of lays out the basics of the business. So the first thing is why doTERRA in general. And so a couple things. I just got back from leadership, the leadership retreat about a week ago, which is just a retreat for the top leaders in the company. They do one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. The West Coast one's happening right now. And so it's such a good time to hear from the people who founded the company about the direction of where doTERRA is going, and the vision and all of that stuff, and kind of like the nerdy numbers. It just gives confidence that this company is here to stay. It has a mission and a vision that's kind of larger than life, and the leadership is doing it. They just keep making the next right choice, which is meaning that doTERRA is growing rapidly. So in 10 years, yes, buddy.
I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm done, but I can't. There's nothing else I can.
Okay, well then why don't you come on upstairs, okay?
I want to watch something.
Okay, come on upstairs and you can sit in my room.
I want to keep watching.
Okay, hold on one moment.
Can I watch the pilot one?
Here, you can take this.
I want to watch the pilot. I want the Jackson.
Yeah, I gotcha. I know what you want.
They're just talking downstairs.
Great. Okay, you can go sit on my bed. All right. Why did I let him choose a VeggieTales and not a full-length Disney movie while I was doing this? That was a foolish rookie error. Rookie mistake. Sorry about that. Anyway, okay. So in 10 years, you can see that little chart there, that little graph there in the middle. It shows the growth trajectory of doTERRA. And so this is in the first 7 years. doTERRA actually just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. So they are on the same growth trajectory as Apple computers, and it's actually increasing in momentum. And so it took doTERRA 7 years to make their first $1 billion, and then they're on pace to do that. I think at leadership, they said in the next 3 years, they'll be a $2 billion company. So it's growing even faster, which is pretty impressive. And so what that tells me as a person who is invested in this company is that they're doing a lot right, because they're growing quickly and continue to grow quickly. It hasn't been short growth over a short time. It's continuing to grow at a pretty substantial pace over a long period of time, and that pace is just increasing. And so I love that. And you have probably seen this in your own world as you've talked with people about oils, that more and more people are interested in natural health and wellness. And so you can probably see in your own world, even people who you might not have thought would have been like interested in oils or taking care of themselves naturally, their interest is starting to get piqued because of a number of things. Questioning the pharmaceuticals, just trying to decrease chemicals in their world in general. And so there's lots and lots of reasons for this. So that right there is huge. The quality of doTERRA, it's the most tested and the most trusted oils. And so there are over 4.5 million customers, and I actually think that number needs to be updated, because I know the last time when I helped someone set up their wholesale account just the other day, their customer ID number was like 7 million. And so I don't know, maybe that's off or whatever. But anyway, but they're definitely growing. They're definitely the most tested and most trusted. There's 110 medical research universities that are doing research with doTERRA essential oils, and they choose doTERRA essential oils because the quality is second to none. If you know anything about scientific research, you have to be able to replicate your study. And if you can't guarantee what's in the bottle is going to be the same every single time, then you can't replicate your studies effectively. And so there are multiple, like Johns Hopkins University only uses doTERRA essential oils as they do their studies, because they're the only ones who pay such a close attention to detail to be able to make sure that what's in the bottle is the same every single time. That makes a huge difference in terms of usage, but also in terms of research. Additionally, I thought it was super interesting that Dr. Hill at the leadership retreat talked about how since 2008, the amount of essential oil research that's been published has increased by 400%. 400%. Well, doTERRA started in 2008. And so since that's the focus is on research.
Excuse me, Mama.
And that makes a big difference.
The shock one.
Oh, good grief. Okay. Did you need something else?
No, I wanted to watch the Jack one.
Okay. Well, bud, you need to not interrupt Mama, okay? I told you that you had to choose something, and you need to not interrupt Mama. There's Peter Pan, okay?
Okay.
You can go see him. Okay, so the quality, super important. Third-party testing. The other piece of it, which gets me so excited, is doTERRA's role as a healthcare disruptor. And so I don't know if you know this. It's been mentioned here and there, and it's just really starting to build steam as we go here. But doTERRA is opening primary care health clinics all over the United States. And so they're opening, I think there's 5 open right now. There's going to be 30 by the end of the year, and then next year there's going to be 30 more. more added, and the next year there's going to be 30 more added. One of them is going to be in Philadelphia, and so that's amazing. But what these are primary care medical clinics with where doctors are working, but they're trained in using essential oils and other natural remedies in conjunctions with the traditional Western medicine allopathic treatments. And so they're functional medicine-based clinics, but using doTERRA essential oils, set up with doTERRA as kind of the research and guiding. The chief medical officers of doTERRA are the ones who are establishing the protocols and the care practice. And so this is huge. I mean, that's like a total game changer to be able to provide that sort of care. And it's just the beginning. And so I know there are so many stories out there. Maybe you have these stories, you've heard stories where you've used oils and told your doctor about it. And they're kind of like, meh, okay, that's great. Just keep doing what you're doing, but not really dug into it. And so the effort here is to provide research and protocols that doctors are able to call on and use on a regular basis. And then evidence that these natural therapies, natural ways of taking care of ourselves are effective and useful in even just a regular old family practice setting. And so that's the goal, is that we're bridging the gap from Western medicine to the natural health world in a really practical way. And so I love that. I'm really excited about that. And from where I'm sitting, that is incredibly necessary in terms of addressing the problems in our broken healthcare system here in the U.S. specifically. Other reasons that to love doTERRA are mentioned here. Integrity is one. Just the retention rate is mentioned there. So a retention rate means that of people who order one time, 65% of them are likely to order another time. That's the average. So if you help 100 people to set up their wholesale account, 65 of them are going to order from you again using their wholesale account. That's tremendous. And so what that means is that you can build a business that builds what's called residual income, where you are making money, you're making commission when you're not necessarily running around like a crazy person getting people little bottles of oil. They are just continuing to reorder because doTERRA's retention rate is off the charts. So just to give you an example, so companies like Mary Kay and Herbalife and like other like vitamin isogenics, companies like that, their retention rate is about 15%. 15%. And so doTERRA's retention rate is 65%. And I have seen this too in my own numbers of my customers. About 65% of my customers continue to order month after month after month, whether it's vitamins or oils or other household products. And so it's possible to make legitimate income with doTERRA because of the retention rate. And so that's huge. And then this little piece over here, which if you have not spent any time on YouTube watching co-impact sourcing videos from doTERRA, you've got to. But there's some pictures there that shows the people in Haiti, Nepal. But it is so important for me to communicate to you, if you are new to doTERRA, that doTERRA is founded not just to be a healthcare company, but to be a company that literally helps to break chains of poverty in places around the world. They fairly pay their growers as they source their oils. They give back through the Healing Hands Foundation. They make sure they partner with communities where they help them to learn to grow their plants sustainably and ethically so that they can be there for the long term. So they are investing in communities, socioeconomics for generations to come. That's super, super important to me. It's important. It's just such a larger vision for the world. And so they say over and over again that doTERRA's intention with sourcing their oils is to get the best oils and do the most good in the process of doing it. And so that is the heart of the company, and you see that over and over and over again. But that just makes the desire to bring doTERRA into my home, into other people's homes, all the greater. And for me personally, this really struck me in when I was at the doTERRA convention last September, and they had all these growers and all these sourcers telling their story and all of this. And for every moment that I feel like nervous, or I don't want someone to think I'm being salesy or anything like that, I really had this moment where I was sitting there listening to this woman who had like sold herself into sex slavery, and doTERRA came in and provided an opportunity for her to work harvesting pink pepper. I was just kind of like getting all emotional, thinking, you know what, like, by me sharing these oils with families that I know that this is a better way to take care of your family here in my country, it's creating a demand that then creates work for someone in another part of the world. Some other mama is now able to provide for her family because of the work that I do here. And so this is like, I get to play my small part in not only shifting healthcare and the way people take care of themselves and their family, but also shifting shifting just the economic situation for people around the world. So I love that. I love that about doTERRA. And like I said, if you haven't looked at any of the co-impact sourcing videos, you've got to. What are you waiting for? So anyway, let's see. There's a picture up here, and you've probably heard this story before. There's, sorry. There's this guy, and he's got the buckets and pipelines. And so we're going to talk more about what's called residual income. And basically, residual income is the idea that instead of always trading hours for dollars, that you build residual income where you are continuing to earn money, even if you are not necessarily working at that time. And so doTERRA is set up to be able to be a pipeline. And so this whole analogy comes from this story where there's these two guys, and so they lived in this village where the water source was kind of far away. And been around a while, you've heard this story, but I'm telling it again because it's a good visual. But anyway, so the one guy there, he's pictured with his bucket. And so every day his job is to go down to pick up some buckets of water, fill them up, take them back to the village, and he sells the buckets of water. And he can make whatever he can make as he sells one bucket of water, and he makes those trips back and forth. And so the amount of money he can make in a day is only limited by how many times he can walk back and forth with how many buckets. And so he takes the buckets, fills them up, walks back, fills them up, walks back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. And so then there's another guy who kind of watches this in the same village, and he's kind of thinking, okay, like, what if I did the bucket thing? What if I also brought some buckets of water and sold them? But then instead of running back and forth all day, what if I spent the rest of my day digging a trench and creating a pipeline that went from the river back to the village? And so as the story goes, this is what this guy starts to do. And he, makes maybe run his day job of running back and forth once or twice with the buckets of water. But then he spends the rest of his time digging a trench, laying pipe, and working his way back to the village. And you can imagine that people probably thought he was nuts. They're like, you're dumb. That's a pipe. Like, you're spending your time digging a hole, and you could be doing, you could be making a million trips back and forth. But then one day when he gets the pipe all situated and everything, suddenly he turns on the spigot and everything changes. There's no running back and forth for water. There's water available to the entire village. He can, there's an endless supply. There's all kinds of freedom because he's not running back and forth. And there's this abundant pipeline. And so that's what doTERRA provides, is residual income. I want to be very, very clear before I talk briefly about the compensation plan. I'm not going to dive too deep into the nitty gritty of that today. But I want to be very clear, this is not an easy money, get rich quick scheme. Like I said, I have been doing this for 3 years. It has been tricky, it has been challenging, and it has been incredibly rewarding. This has allowed me, doing doTERRA has allowed me to not only has it helped to heal my body, take care of my family, in like healthcare sorts of ways, but it's also allowed at this moment for me to stop teaching and bridge the gap between having no income whatsoever from my teaching salary to be able to fill in that gap there. And that's tremendous. Like I said, it's a simple business, but it's not easy because the hardest part is just stretching ourselves beyond maybe what we're familiar with or what we've always done. So we're going to look for just a moment here at the compensation plan. I'm going to scroll down here in the build guide. And like I said, when you print this or you grab this from online or order it, you'll be able to see all this maybe more clearly. But this is like a spread that goes over it kind of covers 2 pages, but I'll have to scroll down to show you the second page. But right there, this is elite. And that's our goal. That's our goal, to get you to elite. So the average amount of time is listed down here at the bottom. The for the average amount of time, it's about 3 months to get to elite. Now, this varies completely on how much you're working, how many hours you're putting in, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But in that range, once you get to elite, you're covering the cost of your product, of your, if you're taking the vitamins, if you're doing all of that. And that is also, if you help about 15 people to set up their wholesale account, then you are going to be at elite. And so elite means that you have $3,000 in volume underneath you, and that includes anyone that you help set up their wholesale account for the first time. So if you, your neighbor has been asking you about your vitamins and why you've been feeling good, and you help them to get the vitamins and maybe a set of oils. And so maybe that's like a family essentials kit and some vitamins. So that's like $200. That would be helping one person set up their wholesale account. And so that would be about 200 in volume out of that 3,000 that you need to be in elite. And so once you do that multiple times, however much that takes to get to 3,000, then you are an elite, and your paycheck that month is will be, it totally depends on what you've sold, what you've got, but the average elite is making about $300, $365 a month. So that is awesome. And that's a great, so that's our goal to get there. So that's step one, to cover your monthly expenses. Like I said, the $3,000 in volume is anyone new that you help them to set up their wholesale account, but it's also anyone that you've already helped them set up their wholesale account, and then they continue to order other things. So they're on the vitamins every month, or they're using the On Guard stuff, or they're using lavender every night for their kids to go to bed. All of that goes into the total of 3,000 in volume. And so it all kind of comes together and grows. Now, when I first started, I remember looking at that $3,000 in volume and going, are you kidding? That's a joke. Like, I'm never going to have $3,000 in volume. Like, who am I even going to, how's that even possible? And I totally get that. So if you're thinking that right now, if you're like, I'm never going to sell $3,000 in essential oils, that's going to take me a lifetime. You will be amazed at how quickly it kind of rolls together. And so for me now, my volume gets to elite on about the third day of the month. There's, because people are ordering their vitamins and are using different oils and have different things they're doing. And so it happens pretty quickly once you kind of get rolling. But that is our goal for you, is to get to elite first. And then all the other things move on up through here. You can see the next rank after that is premier, and then silver, and then gold, and then platinum, and then diamond. And then on the second page, this normally in the book, it is spread across 2 pages. These are the top ranks in the company: presidential diamond and blue diamond. And those are stupid, crazy numbers that I cannot even imagine. $40,000 a month. That's total game changer. Michelle, you could buy that $800,000 house in Czech Republic. The small 3-bedroom, $800,000. What did you say? fancy house. Anyway, but so what I have found is that these numbers are averages. I have found them to be accurate as I have moved my way up through those ranks. And so a lot of that depends on if you are helping people set up their account, if people are just reordering, but I have found them to be accurate reflections of what you make at each rank as I have gone moving through this business. So as far as time and how you get paid and all that stuff. So over on this side right here is in the build guide, and basically we get paid, I'm going to start at the bottom actually. We get paid in 4 ways in doTERRA. You get paid anytime you help someone set up a wholesale account, you get paid 20% for helping them to set up their wholesale account. Additionally, if you help someone set up their wholesale account and then they help someone set up their wholesale account, then they get paid 20%, but you get paid 10%. And so it compounds. So I always joke, if my mom, for example, so I helped my mom set up her wholesale account a couple months after I set up my wholesale account. And then she decided she was going to start teaching classes and doing the same thing. So it's a good time for me when my mom has a class on a Saturday night, and she goes and she teaches, granted, I spent some time teaching my mom how to teach classes, and we've wrestled through this together. But so my mom will go teach a class on a Saturday night. I'm out with my family, hanging with my kids. My mom helps 4 people set up their wholesale account. She's making 20% on that. well, I'm making 10. So thanks, Mom. And so that's how the Fast Start bonus works. And so you get paid 20%. And then if you teach people to also help people set up their wholesale accounts, and you get rewarded for basically helping other people to set up their wholesale accounts, which is cool. The next thing, way that we get paid for structuring our people correctly. And these are just bonuses. They're just, once you have the first level right here, this one is you get paid every time you have three people in your group that order 100 PV a month, then you get a $50 bonus, and it increases from there. We also get paid for helping people over the long term, like investing in them, teaching them how to use their oils, connecting them with resources so they know how to use their oils, all of which is so available on the internet, just connecting them back where they can learn. Then every time they continue to reorder, we make more on that. That's called the unilevel. And then as you go up higher in ranks, you get a bonus for each rank. And so we get paid 4 different ways. And like I said, this is way more than you need to know. It's right out of the gate, and we'll get into that a little bit later, and we'll get into that as we talk in mentor calls. So that is the compensation plan. And that is the big thing I want you to know, is that our goal is to help you get to elite, because it's the base level. And that's the one where we are covering the cost of your product, which is the most important thing. And then honestly, you just keep doing the same thing that you were doing as an elite, and that continues to grow from there. And so that's our goal, which is why this is called Launch to Elite. So the next thing that I want to talk about is actually in the share guide. So I'm going to jump over here, and this is the blue share guide. If you have this, or you can get it. But basically, you probably, at some level, if you are not actively like doing doTERRA, you probably have found yourself sharing doTERRA, either talking with someone about the great experiences you've had with the vitamins, or talking to someone about how lavender has helped your fussy baby to chill out a little bit so everybody can sleep better, whatever it is. You've probably found yourself just talking about oils. It's something that I think, just as we have positive experiences with anything, we end up just kind of naturally sharing. And so that is where this is where I was, where I had positive experiences, and I decided I wanted to be a little more intentional about sharing doTERRA so that I could, one, start being sure that I was helping people to connect people to a product that I could actually recommend and count on, not just some random bottle of lavender, but 2, that I was able to start to maybe build a little bit of an income and at least cover the cost of what I was doing. And it's grown far beyond what my original thought was. So when it comes to sharing, some of the why share doTERRA. So for some of you, it might be because you love the results you've gotten personally. And so empowering others is obviously something that it has started to become a passion for you. Why would you not tell someone about this remedy for helping to get rid of a sore throat, or this remedy for digestive issues with using Digestin? And so empowering others to take care of themselves more naturally is something that for me is super important, and that may well be the thing that is really important for you. And so you can do that in a couple of ways. You can do that just by casually sharing with people and helping them set up their wholesale account, hosting classes, intentionally setting up like reaching out to people and saying, hey, I've been using these oils. I've been having some really amazing results. Are you interested in hearing about some natural ways of taking care of yourself or your family? And so those are the things that we are going to get into, the how to do that stuff. That center section says you can earn rewards. So as anyone that you help set up their wholesale accounts decides to order things from doTERRA, you can make a commission. And so I also want to be very clear that this is something that doTERRA is going to pay you actual money, not just free products. They're not just going to say like, yay, you helped someone set up your wholesale account. Here's a bottle of lavender. Nope, it's actual money in your actual checking account that you could use for anything. I mean, we use my doTERRA commissions to pay student loan payments and car payments and stash some money aside so the kids can go to summer camp, in addition to covering our products that we're using, our vitamins and our oils and whatnot. And so that's what is possible for you. And so that's that last part, that creating income. This is where you will be able to kind of choose your own adventure. If earning your products for free is what you're most interested in now, great. We need to get you to Elite so that your commission check covers that. If you have visions of being able to create a little bit of part-time income or pay off debt or be able to have extra money for random things, or even be able to leave a full-time job or leave a part-time job to be able to do this, then that is our goal too, is to help you to do that. And so the main way that we are going to teach you to do this is to, one, either host classes, which is gathering groups of people, and either, well, probably in the beginning, having me or my mom come and help you to teach a class, whether that looks like co-teaching a class, or I mean, Michelle, you're in the Czech Republic. If you wanted to gather people together, we could do something like this, where you're the person in the room and I am teaching. You know, I've done this so many different ways, creatively. I even have someone that I know, one of my doTERRA pals, when she started out, she had a DVD of a class video, and she was so scared to teach that she would just play the DVD and then answer anyone's questions and help them set up their wholesale account. And so that is a possibility too. And so classes are a great way to do it. If classes freak you out, first of all, we're going to encourage you to try before you get, just too freaked out by it. But something else that you can do is just one-on-ones. And so one-on-ones is where you set up essentially a time where you are going to sit down with a person and share with them, basically take them through a class, but just the two of you. And so that is something that is a really effective way to build a doTERRA business too. And so we'll help you to establish those sorts of things as well. And so I'm going to be giving you some challenges here, but since I'm on this page, I'll show you. But right here, this is where I want you to start thinking about who are the people in your world that could use these products, who need natural things, who have struggled with sleep or anxiety or have digestive issues or are popping pills all the time for something, who have little babies that they're, trying to do, make some changes as a result of becoming a new mom, whatever it is, whoever comes to mind. There's space there for you to write down names. And so when you print out the share guide, or when you get a hard copy of the share guide, I want you to fill in those 20 names. Or if you just want to use a spiral notebook and write down 20 names, I want you to start there. 20 names of people who are now notice the question. It says, whose lives do you want to change? The question is not who is interested in essential oils, because here's one thing that I will absolutely tell you. The people that you think are, quote, crunchy enough to be interested in essential oils, they may well be, but I can't tell you, over and over again, I have been surprised by the people who have been interested in what doTERRA has to offer, because there are just things you don't know, and there are things that they don't even know. There are lots and lots of people who have no idea that there's a natural way to deal with acid reflux, that there's a natural way to manage inflammation or to manage anxiety. That doesn't even, for some people, that's not even in their radar. And so it's your opportunity to be able to share with them another way of being able to take care of themselves in an empowered way. And so that's the question, is whose lives do you want to change? And so these could be anybody, friends, family, connections, neighbors, whatever. And that's just your start. And so this will be, I've been doing this for 3 years. I still have a list. I have a list of people that I'm always adding to and always working through. And the reason that we ask you to make a list is because as you're thinking about starting to reach out to people and offering to teach them about oils or share with them about oils, sometimes it's nerve-wracking to send a text message and say, hey, did you ever think about using essential oils? Have you ever considered using something natural to handle whatever kind of health thing you've been dealing with? And so what a list does is it helps you to not, hold on, baby. It helps you to not have to also think about the answer or the name while you are trying to work through the nerves of getting up the courage to do something new, reaching out to people about essential oils. So that is the part of the share guide that I wanted to talk about. The very last thing.
Mommy, I wanted to watch.
Okay, can I have that? I have one more thing to cover, and then we're calling it. So let me give this kid one more thing here. Okay, here you go, bud. See ya. Okay. The last thing that I want to talk about here is what is called the belief pyramid. Can you see that? Is that really small? It's the best one I could find. I'll send it in an email, but I'm gonna talk about that for just a second. But hold on one second. I realized I forgot to plug in my computer, and we're at 10%. Danger! Danger! Hold on. Plug that in real quick. Okay, we're good. Okay, so the last little thing I want to talk about is this is called the belief mountain. Look at that. Isn't that epic right there? And so I know it's probably hard for you to see the words. Let's see if I can zoom in. Let's see if I can go to the website and if it's bigger. Maybe not. Anyway, okay, so the belief mountain, what you'll see here is this is all the different ranks in doTERRA. And one thing that I think is super interesting is that as we kind of work on different aspects, oh, there it is. Oh, good, that is bigger. Okay, sweet. Okay, so, no, sorry, we don't want your ebook. It's really nice though. Okay, so this little mountain here, it talks about all of the things that we have to, the belief that we have to develop as we move through the different ranks in doTERRA. And I love this because I think this does a really good job of giving you an idea of the things that you need to focus on. And so at the very bottom is elite. And so that is our goal for you, is to get you to elite. And it says the things that you need to focus on are 1, building belief in the product. And so when I see that, that is 100% true. And so if you've been with doTERRA and using doTERRA stuff for a couple months, you're starting to develop those stories. You're starting to have successes with using Serenity to get your kids to sleep, or feeling so great as a result of lifelong vitality. Building that belief in the product is so important, because when we have confidence in the product that doTERRA offers, we can share it and not worry about it, and not even think like, ooh. I used to think when I would like give people Digestin, I'd be like, well, here, try this. I hope it works. Now, like, I can count on one hand in the past 3 years the number of people that I have given Digestin that it hasn't helped their stomach situation. And so I have total belief in the product. And so that has come over time and over using your oils. And so that's my first challenge to you, is that as we work on all this different stuff, I want you to make sure that you are using your oils, that you are using your products, because that's the thing that develops belief. And as we go, we're going to focus on learning about specific products, because that also helps to build belief. Like, what's the research on different things, or where can you find research when you're trying to like dig into what the science says on it. And that piece is super important, building belief in the product. And then the next thing that you need to do when you're working towards elite is, with courage, share experiences and invite to change lives. And so you guys have seen this. You've seen in a number of different ways, the ways that you have been able to shift your own health, your family's health, and whatnot. And that's what you're inviting other people to do, is to have the same opportunity to be empowered to use something natural to shift their health in ways that maybe they just kind of have settled and thought, you know what, this is just how I feel. This is how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life. This is as good as it gets. I know from my story, which you may have heard me share before, that was totally me. This must be how people feel. People must be this tired. People must be in this much pain. People must not be able to think clearly. And that is something that really is not true. That's not my story anymore. And so sharing that is the next piece there. And that last just says to attain and sustain the rank of elite. And so the more you do those things, build belief in the product and share those experiences with other people, that is how you get to elite. So my challenges for you for the next, basically the way this is going to work is every week I'm going to give you a couple of things to work on in the in-between time. And I kind of laid most of these out in the assignments. The first thing is the 30 days of mentoring. The thing on SoundCloud is just commit this. The little videos are like 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. They're real short on all these different topics, whether it's about doTERRA as a company, about the compensation plan, about how to teach a class, about all sorts of stuff. Really good stuff. Hold on, let me stop sharing my screen here. If I can There. Okay. All of those things, I want you guys to commit to listening to one of those things on SoundCloud for every day for the next 30 days. And so that is a part of it, is starting to kind of invest a little piece of time that you're going to work on the business part of doTERRA, not learning about the functions of peppermint oil, not learning about like how to teach a class. We will do that for sure. But I also want you to just be spending time learning about the business, building that belief, and all of that. And so that is the first thing. The second thing is for you to gather up your resources, gather up the build guide, the launch guide, the share guide, that list of things that was in my email. And so your choice, if you want to print them, go for it. Print them in black and white. You can send them to Staples and print them if you want to, or you can actually order them from doTERRA. They're a couple bucks. Totally your call. I'll let you decide that. I have all of mine in a binder, all kept in one spot. So I'd encourage you to do the same. Keep them in one place. And then once you get that share guide, is to make that list of 20 people what was the question? Whose lives you'd like to help change. Basically, who do you think, who's your first people that you feel like you should share these oils with? And we'll start to talk about that. Okay? Does that sound doable? Let me unmute everybody here. Unmute all. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? We are just about to wrap up here. Anything. Sky's the limit. Ask it. Go for it. Presented by History Channel, the supporter of K-Love. Burning questions? Mom, do you have anything to add?
Hold on.
Mom, do you have anything to add?
No, just coming back next week, I guess, just offering, inviting you guys to take the chance to do your list of names, so that what we're going to do is each week build on each thing that we've done before. So it's really helpful if the things that we talked about this week and the challenges for this week, you work on them. And then by next week, there's going to be some tasks and some different things. And it's just a way of not fire hosing you with everything all at one time, but breaking it down into little chunks. So do it. I guess the thing that I was thinking of as you were talking is, like, one of the things that happened for me, and it might happen for other people, is that when I was asked to do like the list of names or to do certain things, I remember my body feeling this resistance, and I had to push through the resistance. And so just being aware that you're going to feel resistance, and it might come up as making you feel like, okay, I just don't have time for this, or this is just not something my people are going to do, or I don't really know anybody, and
I don't have money. Nobody I know has money for this.
Right. And those are just excuses that our brain gives us, because our brain is not used to doing this. And so our brain's whole job is to keep us safe. And so when we're trying to stretch and do something different, count on your brain is doing its job, which is to protect you from being hurt. Because your brain, since it doesn't know, it just thinks, I better shut everything down. And so you're going to feel that possibly, maybe not. I mean, I know there's some people that don't have that same issue. For me, it was a big issue. So just be aware, like when you notice something, just to kind of say to yourself and give your brain a break and say, okay, I get it. Like, I'm going to trust this process and do it anyway, but expect it. That's my 2 cents.
Good. That's a good 2 cents. All right. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, feelings, anything? Oh, hold on one second, Michelle. You're muted. Let me unmute you. There you go. You're muted. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So maybe this is definitely an individual question, and maybe we can talk about it more. But so my biggest concern is, obviously, I'm in a different country, and of course I know a lot of expats here and people that speak English. However, reaching actual Czechs, who I do think desperately need natural remedies, they're going to need resources in their own language. So am I going to find videos, resources, or is this going to be all on me to be able to communicate this in Czech?
I don't think so. That's a good question, and I've started digging into this because I think I messaged you about this. So there's a woman who built her entire team in Romania. And so I have a meeting with her at the end of the month to help just kind of navigate how she did that, because she's from the US, is Romanian, and so she went to Romania and built her teams there. And
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I believe there are resources in my rough searches and total not understanding the Czech language. I believe there are resources out there, and so I've been gathering those up. And yes, you and I should talk more about that. But there are other people that are doing this in other countries. doTERRA operates in 112 different countries, and that there are resources out there.
Okay. And then I have one other question.
Sure.
Are there one? I don't know if you know the answer to this. You know of many advocates that maybe take only the online approach of trying to reach people, maybe through blogging or Facebook, that aren't really doing like the classes necessarily, but are reaching out more broadly by just, I don't know,
Like social
by
media.
blogging about remedies and things like that.
Yeah, I think that there are people who do that. I think that generally what I've heard and what I found, and also what I've experienced just myself, is that people who do that, it takes much longer to do it online, simply because it takes more touches for people to trust you. Like, so people buy things from people they know, like, and trust. And so if you're in my world, it's easier for me to build, like in real life, it's easier for me to build that relationship with people, you know, and tell them, like, you know, over maybe less time. Like, I could have a class of 5 people one time that I've met one time, and maybe of those 5 people, I'll have like 4 of them enroll. Whereas like when I teach online classes, I will maybe have, you know, 5 more people attend an online class, and not a single one will enroll.
Yeah.
Because it takes them maybe 2 or 3 like hearing it or trusting it and all of those things. And so there's definitely some strategy there, and there are people who do it. I think that the people who do it the most effectively, especially who would be starting from scratch, are doing this sort of thing, where they're doing like using this kind of a platform and inviting people to like a class where you're doing this, where you would teach in Zoom with people that you have specifically invited, who are maybe all across the world. Do you know what I mean? So that is, so yes, there are definitely people. There are also people who have like fully built their entire business on Instagram, for sure. But they'll be the first ones to tell you that it's harder, because they have, it just takes longer. It takes more touches to get someone to decide they want to buy something.
And I think a lot of times the people that have had success that way have people who've had blogs that maybe they have 10,000 followers. And so they're starting out with a huge presence online, where if you're just starting off with no, and I'm trying to mess around with that a little bit. I'm starting from scratch, just as an adjunct to what I'm doing already. But I'm not the person who has 10,000 blog followers. So for me, I have to figure out if that's even worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it sounds like that would be a better way, because there's so many people on the internet, but really you have a circle of friends that are your influencers, and it's not even the people that you're looking to enroll. It's the people that they know also. Like you're just one person, Michelle, but you've got 2 or 3 people who you might get started. Well, who do they know? And who do they know? And that's really how this thing grows beautifully. And that's why it's called networking, because it's the most effective way for regular old people to do this.
And I do think, Michelle, and we can get into more details one-on-one, but I think that you are for sure a unique situation, because you have like your own community, your community there in the Czech Republic, but you also have community back home in the US.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think that like this sort of situation, like using Zoom to teach the US people and then get them started, would be really effective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
I think that you have a unique situation where you have people who, the reason online is appealing is because you live on the other side of the world. So yeah.
So okay.
But let's talk about that more for sure.
Sure.
Any other questions, thoughts? Good. Okay, well, I'm going to call it 2:32. I think that, yes, on time. All right. So as we go, we will get into more how to do doTERRA, how to talk to people, what to say to people. what all of that looks like. And so this is just kind of a starter. And so I will look forward to being with you next week. If you are, if you've not set up a mentoring session, set up one via that link in the email, because like Michelle, like we were just talking here, having the ability to work through some personal issues is absolutely important, and that is what I would love to be able to help you to do. Okay? All right, everyone, have a great day. It's sunshiny and beautiful here in Pennsylvania, and so I'm going to go be outside a little bit.
See ya.
See ya. Bye, Flo.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lisa. See you, Jess. Bye, Michelle.